I'm a 39-year-old guy, 3 months out from what I now call D-Day, the day my wife, who's 34 and has been with me for a decade, found out I cheated. We've got 4 kids together. It was a one-time physical thing with a girl from work, someone random who gave me a little attention, and in that moment, that rush of being wanted pulled me off course. I gave in to the feeling and made a huge mistake. Looking back, our marriage was already struggling in the communication department. We both carried old wounds, traumas from our childhoods and previous relationships that we never really healed. I'm someone who craves connection. I need to feel desired, to feel loved, to know I matter. But my wife has always had deep intimacy struggles. Affection, desire, those things didn't come easy to her. I'm not making excuses. I messed up, plain and simple, and I regret it more than I can put into words. Right after I told her, she didn't scream or cry. She just looked calm, like something inside her had shut off. She said it was over and that I had to leave. While I was still searching for a place to stay, we had some of the most honest, raw conversations we've ever had. She even said she felt closer to me than she had in years. We started sleeping together, intensely, like never before, multiple times a day. It was confusing but powerful. We discussed reconciliation, what it would take, how it could possibly work, and for a while, I thought we had a real shot. But once I moved into my own apartment, everything shifted. She became distant, cold. She started pushing me away. It caught me off guard because, for a moment, it had felt like we were rebuilding something. We had already booked a family vacation before D-Day, and we decided to go through with it for the kids. But during the trip, I felt like I didn't exist. Being surrounded by my family and feeling completely invisible, it was the loneliest I've ever felt. After we got back, the tension finally blew up. We had a huge fight and went semi-no contact, though we still had to talk about the kids and money. One day while watching the kids at the house, my oldest mentioned that someone new had been coming around. A man. I pieced it together and confronted her. She admitted via text that she had started seeing someone. Not just emotionally, but physically. She'd sought him out before our vacation, even though she'd told me at the time she wasn't interested in dating and wanted to focus on healing. That text hit me like a freight train. Suddenly, this man had not only entered her life but our home. He's met our kids. He's been sleeping in my bed. He's moved some of his stuff in. All of this in barely 2 weeks. I'd been making real strides in my recovery, therapy twice a week, a men's support group, finally facing some of the trauma I'd buried for years. But now, it feels like everything's crumbled. Like I'm right back at the beginning. I still hope, deep down, that maybe there's a future for us. But every day, it seems further out of reach. She tells me she loves me as the father of our kids, but she can't see a future with me. She says the trust is gone and that she doesn't believe it'll ever come back. I've made it clear I'm open to reconciliation if she ever wants it. But this new guy, this new chapter she's jumped into, it's wrecked me. She says it's not about hurting me. That it's about rediscovering who she is, separate from who she was during our marriage. So now I find myself wondering, how have other people who've been in my position dealt with this? What was your process, whether you were the one who strayed or the one who was betrayed? Sometimes, I just wish someone would look me in the eye and say, "You're going to be okay. You can get through this." There's still a chance, however small, for reconciliation. Because the thought that it might truly be over forever, it's too heavy to sit with for long. So thank you. And I'm sorry. She recently admitted that, while we were still talking about the possibility of rebuilding, she joined an online dating site. During that time, she chatted with around a dozen men. Eventually, she connected with one. He's also someone who's been betrayed by a partner, and from what I can tell, they bonded through shared pain. I have no reason to doubt her story. It's starting to sink in that she's chosen a different path, a life where she feels whole, real, and fulfilled, and that I have no choice but to live with the aftermath of my own mistakes. My focus now is on being a better man, a better father, and somehow forgiving myself along the way. I know I'll always hold on to a sliver of hope for us. Without it, I worry I'll be swallowed by the guilt and sorrow that's been gnawing at me since this all began. It's taken me weeks, full of second-guessing, self-inflicted pain, regret, anger, shame, and a roller coaster of emotions I wouldn't wish on anyone, to finally come to terms with the fact that she's moving on. And she seems genuinely happy. My goal now is simple but far from easy: keep learning, keep growing, and keep healing. I want to rid myself of the emotional sickness that's held me back most of my life. These past 3 months in the dark have wrecked me, both mentally and physically. And I know my kids have felt that too. But I'm a driven person. When I set my mind on something, I follow through. So I'm setting my sights on recovery, on becoming the kind of man who deserves a second chance, should it ever come. If I'm ever granted the gift of reconciliation, I want to be ready to embrace it fully. I truly tried. We even filed for divorce today. It's official. It's over. She once said, almost teasingly, that if she ever married again, it would only be to me. But just a couple of weeks later, that changed. Now she's building something new with someone else. And despite the heartbreak, I honestly hope she finds the happiness and love she's looking for. I hope our children always know how deeply I love them and how much I want to be part of their lives. This might be the last time I post here, but I want to thank every person, both betrayed and wayward, who shared support, insight, and kindness with me. It meant more than you'll ever know. Update 3. Today marks 3 months since the second D-Day. It feels like I've lived a lifetime since then. A lot has changed. My wife finally told me plainly, directly, that she's in love with someone new. That she's choosing him over me. As painful as it was, I needed to hear those words. Maybe it's selfish, but I needed that clarity. Some kind of closure. We've started separating our finances, and oddly enough, that's when the anger finally spilled out from her side. Up until now, she's been emotionally flat on the surface. But I think reality is hitting that losing my financial support won't be easy. Suddenly, there's been verbal jabs, even threats from some of her relatives. It's gotten ugly. Of course, I'll always support my kids financially. That's not negotiable. I want to take a moment now to reflect on everything I've learned in the last few months, where I messed up and what I've done right, in hopes that it might help someone else who's in the same place I've been. First, surround yourself with people who genuinely care about you. I don't mean the ones who simply tell you what you want to hear or pile all the blame on your ex. I'm talking about the people who truly understand you, hold you accountable, and help redirect your focus when you spiral. I made the mistake early on of shutting everyone out. I isolated myself, thinking that's what I deserved. But that only fed the depression and made things worse. The friends who stuck around, who kept checking in, they showed me what real support looks like. Don't go through this alone. Fill your time with things that interest you. Try new hobbies. Find ways to give joy to others. My self-esteem took a major hit after the breakup, and it was hard to see anything good in myself. But I started reminding myself of what I still am: a loving father, a hard worker, someone with passion and heart. I wrote those things down and taped them to my bathroom mirror. Underneath, in big bold letters, it's okay not to be okay right now. One day, you'll feel better. And even though I didn't believe it at first, it's true, each day has gotten just a little easier. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Lean on friends, family, but also professionals. I used to look down on medication for mental health. There's a stigma around it, especially for men. But when I couldn't sleep, lost a bunch of weight, and started having intense mood swings, I finally saw a doctor. Antidepressants helped level me out. I sleep now. I eat. I function. Therapy has been essential. Get a therapist who understands infidelity and trauma. Mine helped me understand parts of myself I never paid attention to, like my need for validation, my codependency, my love language, and how I perceive connection. You can't grow until you know where you're starting from. So dig deep. Be honest. Find out why you cheated. Don't just say you don't know, figure it out. Maybe it was for attention, maybe it was an addiction. Maybe you were escaping something inside yourself. But if you don't unpack it, you're setting yourself up to repeat it. I've made that mistake before. I'm almost 40, and I'm not going down that road again. Challenge the belief systems you grew up with. I used to think my happiness had to depend on everyone else's. I thought being alone was failure. I even believed that feeling content was somehow a weakness. It's not. You have to break those patterns by doing things differently, and eventually, your emotions will start to catch up with your actions. Learn to say no. That one word is a complete sentence. I used to be a people pleaser, afraid of judgment or rejection. But boundaries matter, your own included. I didn't have any. And that lack of boundaries helped get me here. Someday, you'll need to forgive yourself. You made a huge mistake, but that doesn't mean you're a terrible human being. I know I said I wouldn't post again, but this group helped shape my recovery more than I can explain. So I felt it was right to share where I'm at now. Edit. I understand why she's doing what she's doing. My wife has always jumped from one relationship to another. It's her way of coping with loss. She avoids facing the emotional fallout by chasing the highs of something new. The passion, the desire, the intensity, it's intoxicating. And honestly, it's the same thing I chased when I messed up. From the outside, our relationship probably looked fine. And I did love her. I desired her every single day. But I didn't feel like that was returned. Instead of speaking up and explaining how empty I felt, I stayed quiet. I shut down. That silence turned into resentment, then into weakness. One moment I'll never forget, she once told me she didn't want to be intimate with me but felt obligated because she was my wife. That she'd just lie there and wait for it to be over. Hearing that crushed me. It made me feel disgusting, like some kind of predator. From then on, I pulled away out of fear and shame. These are things we could have worked through. We should have. But we didn't. And now here we are. I still hold on to the hope that maybe, someday, she might come back. But I've accepted that I can't let that hope be the engine behind my healing. I have goals now. A clear plan. And I intend to exceed them, not just for her, but for myself and my kids. If the opportunity ever comes along to move forward on a healthier path, I want to be in the best mindset possible mentally and emotionally so I can appreciate it, respect it, and grow with it. Thank you, once again, to all the strangers out there who took the time to share your thoughts. You may never know just how deeply your words helped me. Update 4. It's now been just over 3 months since D-Day. I'm the one who strayed. My wife and I are fully separated. She's in love now, truly in love, with her new partner. There's no reconciliation coming. That door has closed. I can't seem to shake this sinking feeling that I'll never feel happiness again. No matter what I do, no matter how many things I try to bring joy back into my life, I just can't let myself enjoy any of it. Whenever something good happens or I catch myself smiling, guilt instantly creeps in. How dare I feel even a flicker of joy after everything I did? And then comes the voice in my head, it's not about you. And I start to feel selfish for even acknowledging my emotions. I think, shouldn't I be focusing solely on her healing? Shouldn't my remorse be loud enough to drown out any of my own desires for peace or happiness? Even though reconciliation isn't on the table, I can't stop making myself feel like the villain in every moment. And it's starting to affect my day-to-day life in ways I never expected. Even spending time with my kids, which should be the most fulfilling experience, feels heavy, tainted by guilt and a sense of failure. I can barely enjoy those precious hours because I keep thinking about everything I've taken from them. And I hear her voice in my head, we're done. Get over it. But how? So here's my question, does this ever get better? Is this all just part of the process? Do we, as wayward spouses, ever get to feel happy again? Or are we doomed to live in this constant loop of shame, regret, and sadness? To the betrayed spouses out there, do you ever want your WS to find peace? Not for reconciliation, but just as people who shared a life with you and your children? Do you ever hope they reach a place of healing? All I want really is to feel okay someday. And if you're reading this and you haven't yet made the mistake I did, I'm begging you to stop. Just pause for a moment and think. Think about what you could lose. Not just your spouse, but your children, their security, your friends, your sanity, your future. And all for what? A few stolen moments with someone who isn't your partner? A late-night conversation with an ex? Some empty connection with a coworker? I am the cautionary tale. I cheated on my wife twice, once emotionally, 3 years ago, and again physically this past May. That second time was the final blow. She left me, and she was right to do it. Let me tell you what that choice has cost me. I lost my marriage, gone forever. I lost our home. I now live in a small rented bedroom in a rough part of town. Financial security? Gone. I work over 80 hours a week just to pay child support and scrape by. I lost easy access to my children. I only get to see them 3 days a week, for 4 hours at a time. No more tucking them in at night. No more sleepy good mornings. No more little moments that make parenthood feel whole. I lost my in-laws, our shared circle of friends. I'm just the guy who cheated now. My reputation, my mental health, my physical well-being, my sense of self-respect, all of it has taken a hit. And as much as I've lost, what hurts more is what I took from her. The pain I caused my wife, the anxiety, the sleepless nights, the constant triggers, the shattered sense of trust, the self-doubt and emotional wreckage, that's the real loss. Ask any betrayed spouse what an affair costs them and my list will seem trivial in comparison. So please, if you're struggling in your marriage or with yourself, don't turn to betrayal. Talk to your partner. Seek help. Find a therapist. Read what betrayed spouses have written. Understand what your actions will do to everyone involved, including yourself. Because I don't want you to become me. Truth be told, I don't want to be me either, not the version of me that made those choices. Update 5. It's been a while since I last posted. I even left the support groups for a time because I felt like I no longer fit into the conversations. But today is both 6 months since D-Day and my 40th birthday, so I wanted to share where things stand for anyone walking a similar path. The past month has been a roller coaster between me and my ex. There were moments that were so ugly, full of spite, pain, and anger, and others that were strangely tender. We laughed. We remembered the good times. We even talked about the love we once shared after 10 years and 4 children together. The truth is, our marriage had problems long before the infidelity. It was dysfunctional and, at times, toxic on both sides. Even without the affair, we likely wouldn't have lasted. At least not happily. We've both come to that realization, and oddly enough, that has brought a sense of peace. Our communication now is warm, open. We talk almost every day about the kids, about life, sometimes even about each other. There's still sadness in those conversations, but also relief. We're both doing better now, separately. She's still with her new partner, and I can honestly say he's a good man. He treats her well. He treats our children with care and respect. He's a good presence in their lives, and for that, I'm grateful. And here's something I never expected to say: I've met someone, too. A woman who shows me a kind of love that feels unfamiliar, but safe, healthy, honest. My children like her, which brings me so much joy. This new relationship has been a chance to apply everything I've learned through therapy, support groups, books, videos, and hours of reflection. I've learned how to express my emotions, how to set and respect boundaries, how to be transparent and accountable. Most importantly, I've let go of that desperate need for validation that used to drive so many of my actions. It's liberating, both for me and for my ex. We become better parents because of this peace. The tension between us is gone. The kids feel that. They see two people who are finally okay, finally calm. And that calm brings them happiness, too. So to every wayward spouse reading this, even if reconciliation doesn't happen, do the work anyway. Not just for your marriage, but for yourself, your kids, your future. Healing is not a waste just because you're doing it alone. People say waywards live in the dark. And it's true. But it's also true that it's always darkest right before the dawn. Do the work. Your dawn is coming.